The next variable is number of open credit lines and loans. In simple words, these are known as number of loans. I think we have already seen it, but the thing is, we haven't cleaned it. Number of loans cleaning. Do you remember what was the issue? Quickly recollect. What was the issue? Why number of loans has an issue? What was the issue? I think people are having too many loans. Do you remember that?
Yes,
Presence
sir.
of 96 and
Yes,
98.
96 and
96 late.
98.
That is different. That is number of times somebody was late. This is number of loans. Some people will have
54, I think
10 days.
54 the
54
biggest one.
loans, 36 loans. Yeah, these are the, like having
It
these
is
many loans.
54 is
That 96, 98 is the other variable. What was it like? Number of times that TDPD, how many times somebody was late. This is number of loans somebody is having. If you want to get a better idea, this also looks like continuous, little continuous. There is having several values. You can also deal it like a continuous variable. You can also look at the quantiles. Let me get the code for the quantiles for this variable. Anyway, I'll write the code. Dot quantile. This is not the one. 0, 0.1. Yes. But on the higher side, there are issues. So I will say 0.91, comma. Yes, this is what I am expecting from Gemini. So can you see this Gemini? This is known as a large language model, which is working behind the scenes. Do you have any idea, small idea on large language models and prompt engineering? It is
Yes, sir.
one of a good skill to have. I'll share a video of mine. It's a very easy to understand. I'll just share that video and I'll also ask Sajid to keep that video on LMS. Maybe it'll take 1 to 2 hours for you to understand what are large language models, what is prompt engineering, so that you can add prompt engineering on your CV. And next time when the prompt engineering session happens, I'll make sure that you're part of it. Okay. As of now, quickly go through that video. That should do the job. Okay. Fine. Yep. So as you can see, I think what was the limit that we discussed? Number of open credit lines and loans should not be more than what? Like how many loans? I think
10,
20,
20. Yes.
20. In India, we discussed 10. In US, like multiple people have multiple cards, etc., etc. So 20 home loans or 20 credit lines or above is considered as an outlier. So 3% are outliers. So when you have 3% outliers, what do you do? 3% outliers. 3% are outliers. What do you
Replace with median.
replace with median?
Replacing to median.
Replace with median. So as usual, what do we do? Open credit lines new, so variable. Let me write the cleaning in a different cell. Loans data, open credit lines new, replace with, like, I'll take a copy of the original variable. If it is more than 20, I'm replacing it with median. Is it making sense to you now? Now if I try to see this variable dot describe, this describe will give me some percentiles. Look at this: minimum 0 percentile, maximum 20, everything is in between. Are you getting a hang of this? The next variable is number of times. I think all the variables have similar issues. I will be repeating the same kind of stuff again and again, again and again, isn't it? I will look at what kind of variable is it. I will look at what type of issues it has. Depending on the issue, either I will replace it with median. Depending on the issue, depending on the type of variable, I'll replace based on the target. If the issues are too many, then I will do two things. Okay. Maybe I will take two more examples of the variables, then we will proceed further. Since I'm getting a feeling that you already aware of all this, isn't it? You, like, we have seen a couple of examples. Remaining also you repeat the same. For example, if you have number of times 90 days late, this also has the same issue. What is it? If you look at loans data and try to see number of times like 80 days late, what is the issue does it have? 96 is there, 98 is there. For this, we have seen you have to compare this with the target variable. So create a cross tab with the target variable. So first I will create the cross tab. Cross tab is equal to pandas dot cross tab, etc., etc. This is the cross tab. Now I'm not worried about the numbers. I'm worried about the percentages, so that I will get an idea on what is the percentage, which is the other bucket which is matching with the same percentage, and I'll try to replace that. So what I'll do is this cross tab dot apply. There are multiple ways of doing it. This is the slightly easier way of getting it done. Now I want to put a round function around it. Round it until two decimals. Now I can see 96, 98 has 54%. Which other bucket is near to 54%? 54, 54. Earlier it was 6 for some other variable, but which one is near to 54 right now? 50, 58, 50, 50, 50. So maybe I will replace with like 50 and 58 are equally distant from 54. So maybe I will use 58. So I will replace it with 3. 98 will be replaced with 3. 96 will also be replaced with 3. So what I'll do is loans data, number of times new, if it is greater than 12, I will replace it with 3. So everything will be between 0 to 12. So if I now see on this new variable, if I try to see value underscore counts, everything will be between 0 to 12. We will do one more variable. I think there are only a couple of variables left. Number of real estate loans, 60 DPD, and then the uh, real estate loans. Let me do all of them. Number of real estate loans. Number of real estate loans. How many can be the maximum real estate loans or number of home loans? How many can be the max value? What did we decide? Somebody
Eight
can
can be
have 10 home loans. Is that the max that we can like max highest if we say that is
max to
the
max, we say 10.
max to max 10 home loans. Anything beyond that I would like to consider as an outlier. So if I try to see loans data and if I try to see the number of real estate loans dot quantile, if I want to know exactly what percent of the data is having this many home loans, 0, comma, yep. From 90 onwards, I will take it here, 97, 98, comma, 0.99, comma, 1. Number of real estate loan. 99% of the people have only 4 home loans. Shall I change my opinion? Earlier we said a number of home loans max to max 10. But looking at the result, I would like to change my opinion. If I have to, what is the max allowed home loans that I can take? It is not 10. It is actually how many? 99% of the people have how many home loans?
Four.
How many?
Four.
4 home loans. So anything above 4 is considered as outlier. So how do I clean this variable? I would create a copy. Real estate loans new. If it is greater than 4, I would like to replace that with median. Now, if I try to see number of real estate loans new and then try to see describe, come on, describe, I can see that minimum value of home loans is 0, max value is 4, everything between 0 to 4. All this code has been given to you. I think some of you are also executing along with me when I am discussing all this. Some of you are observing. Are you
Yes,
getting the
sir.
output for all of them, or are you getting encouraging any errors in that? It's giving you the
Yes, sir,
output, is
getting.
it?
Yes,
Hmm?
sir, getting.
So at the end, once the whole data is cleaned, we are exporting the data into a new file. So exporting the final data set into a file called loanscleaned.csv. That means you can usually what we tend to do is when we are working in a team, we tend to save the final data set after cleaning in a particular folder so that everybody can access it. Model building team can access it. Sometimes your job ends here. Do you know that? There are like, this is a very big team that will work. Your job is to just clean the data. Model building team will take that data and work with it. Sometimes your job may end here. So this is the file that the model building team will take. Or sometimes you will actually go ahead, build the model. So I have already done all this cleaning. I have kept this whole file on GitHub. It goes by the name cleaned credit risk training data.csv. We will try to take that data, and if you try to describe that data, you will find what is the minimum value for each variable, what is the maximum value for each variable, and this is the cleaned version of the data. I have given you the cleaned version of the data. This completes the data cleaning. In any machine learning model building, out of the phases that we discussed, Maybe you're not involved in here, but you are very much involved in data exploration, validation, data cleaning, and preparing it for analysis. If in an interview somebody asks you, what was one of the difficult phase that you have faced when you're working on a project? What you should always mention, what were some of the challenges that you have faced when you are working on the projects? There must be some challenge that you must always bring. Tell me, you should always talk about when I'm working on data exploration, data validation, data cleaning. There are so many variables with missing values. There are several variables with outliers, and looking at them and cleaning them was one of the biggest issue that I have faced. Those kind of things that you have to bring on. Okay. So that is a part of data cleaning. Now we will go for the model building. But before I go for the model building, I would like to wait here, pause here, take some questions. Model building. Any questions on this? Anybody? On
So,
data? Yeah.
yeah, so just now you talked about prompt engineering and the LLM. So I am visiting your YouTube channel frequently.
Mhm.
So there is one playlist that deals with Gen AI.
Gen AI,
So
correct.
yeah, so if it is possible for me after this, I can go through those videos.
Hmm.
And you have also given different assignments. If
Correct,
I
correct.
do that, so is it possible for me to showcase those kind of projects as well on my CV?
I would say it is a little dangerous. Okay. Because
Okay.
uh, never ever showcase your learnings as some kind of learning or a certification course that
Yes, sir.
acts or that kills your chances of getting a job. If somebody asks you, how come you got to know Python? What will be your answer? Have you taken any training on Python
While working,
while working? If somebody asks you, how come you got to know about data cleaning? Who taught you data cleaning? What will be your answer?
I was working for a particular project, and while
If you say
doing that
Venkat
project,
sir has taught me data cleaning in DB analytics, it's gone.
mm,
Isn't it? We lost
yes,
that
sir.
interview. Now,
Yes, sir.
whenever you're learning something new, always think from this direction that yes, I have learned Gen AI. Shall I put it directly on the CV? Like between learning and keeping it on CV, there is another phase. What is it? Describing
Working.
it as work experience. Okay.
Yes,
How many years of work experience you are showing just for the sake of discussion? We'll try to have a discussion so that everybody can get clarity. How many years of work experience you're showing?
so 4 to 5 years.
4 to 5 years. Who is your client?
Uh, so my CV is in the preparation stage,
Let
so
us
I've
suppose some
decided.
client is some ABC bank, right?
Yes, yes,
So that ABC bank, what is that Gen AI project that you have worked on?
yes, it will be difficult.
So if it is difficult to showcase as your experience, even though you know it, do not show it, suppress it. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Because our
Understood.
objective here is not to learn. You join DV Analytics, not to learn everything or not to digest as much as you can. That's not a good idea. If your
Yes,
objective
sir.
is only learning, I have so many topics to teach you. I have n number of very cool applications, n number of topics that I can discuss. Even though I know all of them, I don't make you touch all of them. Why? It's very difficult to showcase that as work experience. That is where the whole world is faltering. If you take an immature data scientist CV, if you take a very childish data scientist CV, you will find 200 keywords on that. Do you know that?
Yes, sir.
CNN, ANN, TensorFlow, PyTorch, isn't it? Deep learning,
Yes, sir.
machine learning, generative AI, prompt engineering, Azure, ML ops, cloud, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Everything SKLN, like 200 to 300 keywords you will find on one CV. And if you ask him, what is your work experience? He will say, I just passed out of college. Or he will say, I just have 6 months internship experience. Now, those kind of CVs, they look good. For the candidate, he feels very proud. You see, I'm mentioning everything on the CV. But for the recruiter, that is a big headache. The recruiters are finding it very difficult. They're spending the whole weekend in doing interviews. They're spending the whole week. They're leaving their work. The managers, team managers, they're leaving their work and they interview 50 candidates, and all of them are junk candidates. None of them have real stuff, real material. Let's say if you say Gen AI, the recruiter is looking for you to handle Gen AI projects. If you
Yes,
say
sir.
just Gen AI, and if you give an impression that you're just aware of it, you just learned it from somewhere, you just heard it from somewhere, you're just managing it there in the interview. For the sake of interview purpose only, you're playing, okay? You're playing little dirty. That means like you do not know it, but you're still saying that I know it. Then the recruiter will get very angry at you. For example, if you say machine learning, if you say data cleaning, can you handle it if somebody throws data at you?
Yes, sir.
Then you're a good candidate. Then the recruiter will feel that I can hire this candidate, I can give this job of working, and then he will do the job. So sometimes mentioning too many keywords is going to act against your chances of getting picked up in a job. Okay.
Definitely, sir. Understood.
Is the strategy, are you getting the strategy that we're
Yes, sir.
following here? The
Yes, sir.
strategy says that it's better to show all your learning as work experience. Then only
Understood.
you will get the chances of getting picked. Just learning, showing it as knowledge is going to hamper your chances. And not only hamper your chances, it's going to make the recruiter angry. Okay. Maybe you
Yes,
can
sir.
show that as out of your interest, you have learned it. And if required, company can use that skill. You can show it as a very minimal part, not highlighting it as a core part. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So the videos that you see on my YouTube generative AI course, that was for your seniors, those who already got placed, working in the
Yes, sir.
industry for 2 years. Okay. Now they want
Mm.
to move up in their career. That means somebody who was a DV student 3, 4 years back, they have been working in industry. Some of them are 3 years, 5 years, real experience I'm talking about. Like they have been working in the industry from 5+ years and they want to learn Gen AI. They want to get into the next level. So that course makes sense to them. So they can learn
Yes.
and showcase that. You can also understand if they can get it, you can also get it. But I'm assuming that your core objective is getting a job here. So play a little, best optimized manner that will increase the chances for us to get the job. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Any questions related to that? Anybody? So recently I went to Dubai. There I met with one of my friend. Apparently he is the whole for a couple of products or for a couple of portfolios. He is the lead, and they're in HSBC, and their team is struggling a lot. He is like kind of banging his head, saying that I'm not able to find good profiles. He says, "यार मुझे खाली Excel चाहिए. Excel reporting कोई नहीं जानता है." He was very much worried. He was pissed off that people are mentioning Python, people are mentioning advanced stuff, people are mentioning DevOps, people are mentioning machine learning, deep learning, generative AI, computer vision, sound analytics. But the work that I need here, I'm not able to find right fit. They don't even know what is Excel. They can't even create a simple pivot table. If I ask them for a simple analysis, if I throw some data to them, ask them for a simple analysis, simple dashboard, they're not able to do it. We're finding it very difficult to hire candidates. That's what he's saying. And DV is trying to solve exactly the same problem. Are you with me, everyone? The kind of approach that we are following, why we are intentionally hiding some of the stuff and showing only solid experience.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So anything that you learn, always go by this manner. Yes, I have learned it. How can I show it as experience? If it is somewhat fitting well in your profile, yes, I have done this project. In that project, I have used Gen AI. In that project, I have used this. If it is somewhat fitting well in the story, go ahead, put it. No need to take my permission. But if you have just learned it, if you're directly mentioning it on your CV, now that is a risk, danger. Can you handle your CV from here on? Small modifications that you're doing, make sure that you're keeping only those that are sounding like experience. Okay, then only the recruiter will give value to you. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Because I have seen people in the beginning itself, they made up their mind that, you know what, I want only this kind of profile, I want only this kind of job, very advanced job. Due to that reason, they kept a lot of these keywords on their CV. Typically in DV, we give 20 to 25 keywords that will attract a particular type of jobs where you can get a very good selection criteria, max to max 30 keywords. But a lot of people are making those 30 into 70, 80, 90, 100, or 120 keywords by adding a lot of other stuff. Now that they are getting the calls, that's all right. But the conversion of that call after the interview selection is becoming very difficult for them. Always show less keywords but more depth. Show always your experience rather than your skill set. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So that is part one of our project. In part two, we will get into logistic regression model building. And then after model building, we will get into model validation and handling the class imbalance, etc. But before that, are there any quick questions? Anybody?
Hello, sir.
Yeah,
I have a query.
yeah,
Prior to model building, we are going for the outlier treatment, right? So
correct.
here, what we are doing is we are basically using the floor value or the ceiling value, or when we are using, median and all. So this might end up in giving us a model which might not be that good, right? So do we come back again and make changes
So
in the variables?
when we are doing the data cleaning,
Yeah,
we will not follow the same technique for all the type of issues. For
yeah,
example, if 99% of the data is clean, if 99% of the data is clean
yeah.
and only 1% of the data is having issues.
Mm-hmm.
Now, no matter what data cleaning technique that I use, because 99% of the data is clean, I'm impacting only 1% of the data, right? So it will not have a huge impact on the final analysis. That means if I build a model, let's say somebody has done median, somebody has done flooring and capping. Okay, these are two different
Okay.
techniques, isn't it? What you'll observe is the person who has done median, he will get some accuracy. The person who has done flooring and capping, he will get some accuracy.
Yeah.
Usually that accuracy matches most of the times. The reason
Okay.
is the kind of impact this particular variable will have, that also questionable. And then within this variable, 99% of the data is clean. So usually you will not have a huge difference in the accuracy. Okay.
Okay.
But if the variable is having, let's say 20% of the data is having issues, let's say 20% of the data is having issues,
Yeah.
and then 80% of the data is clean. In this case, people following two different approaches may get two different values. So in this case, I do not really suggest flooring and gapping, because 20% of the data we have to study it, and then we have to make sure that we are replacing it with median, because we cannot put maximum value for 20% of the values in the data.
Okay.
We can replace
Okay.
maximum value for 1% of the data, makes sense, but median. So depending on how much of the data and what is the impact of this variable on the final data decides how good, how bad finally the model is coming out to be.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you. Okay, sir. Thank you.
very good question. These are pretty good questions. This is the direction that you should be thinking. Like, if I do something here, is that going to have an impact on the model? Shall I change it to get a better model? Yes. Any other related questions, anybody?
Sir, my question is somehow related to the previous question
Yeah, carry on.
that if we are have the clean data
Hmm.
and we are going for model building
Hmm.
and somehow we applied all the techniques and we are not getting our required accuracy or parameters.
Hmm.
So again, is there any chance that in the real time scenario they come to the data cleaning and do some changes in the data so that they can get better thing in the accuracy or model building part? It
So
is not only like missing values or any other technology techniques they apply or any other things they do.
it's a good question. Usually, I'll tell you, let's say my experience in working with companies, it's not really the data cleaning that has a huge impact on the final model accuracy. This data cleaning is like you are kind of making your model ready for model building. Okay. Let's say if you are taking a different data cleaning doesn't really do take any extreme steps. Let us suppose if you have the flight values, let's say every day the number of flights that are landing in Bangalore, you have a list of them, the count of them every day for 365 days. Okay. For the 365 days, every day how many flights are landing in Bangalore airport, you have it. Now for the 366th day, you don't have it. The value is missing. Somebody did not enter the data. Now, for that missing value, what are we replacing it with? Are we replacing it like out of these 365 days, whichever has the highest flights? Are we going to replace it with the max value? If you ask me to give me an estimate, how many flights have been landed in Bangalore? Are we going to, first of all, we will not say zero flights. Do you agree? If a value is
Yes.
missing, it will not be zero flights. We will not replace it with zero. If a
Yeah.
value is missing, we will not even replace with max value, isn't it? Shall I say that if the value is missing, let us suppose, okay, on an average in 360 days, every day there are 600 flights that are landing in Bangalore airport. Okay. Now, one day on the 366th day, the number of flights that have been used is missing. The data point is missing. What will be my guess here? Am I going to say 60,000 flights were landed on that day? Am I going to replace with this one missing value?
No.
If I do this, then it will have a huge impact on my analysis. It will have a huge impact on my machine learning model. Am I going to say that, okay, on that day we did not take count, let us put it as zero? Am I going to say zero is the number of flights that have landed in Bangalore on that day, which I could not count? Zero, is
No.
that a good estimate? Since that I haven't counted, it doesn't mean no flights have happened. Am I going to say the highest number of flights? So what is the best estimate? Tell me. One day you missed. How many flights have come, but on that day airport was functional. Tell me what is the
Like it
best estimate for it?
might be the nearer one, like the previous day,
Can we
or
take the
the next
average
day.
of all these 365 days?
Yeah,
On
that
an
is also
average,
fine.
600 flights are using in Bangalore. Can I say average value? Is that a
Yes.
good estimate? Average is not too high, not too low. So if you take the average, it will not have a huge impact on your final analysis. So very rarely. So I'm not denying the fact that data cleaning may have impact on the final analysis. It will have, but very rarely it will have such impact that, let us suppose, if my model is giving me, let's say right now 80% accuracy, if I change the model, if I change the data cleaning technique slightly, from 80% I will get into 85%. From 80% I may get into 84%. This much lift in the accuracy I will get in the model. You will not see this. Okay. You will not see
Yes.
this. But then how people increase the accuracy? Let's say 80% is the accuracy. My client is not satisfied. Okay. My client is not satisfied with the accuracy. I have to increase the accuracy. But data cleaning standard method, these are all the standard methods. As I told you, they are harmless methods. What do you mean by harmless? They neither increase the accuracy nor decrease the accuracy. They are just they will make you, these data cleaning techniques will make you usable, the data usable. If you're not satisfied with the accuracy, what do you do? What is the technique that we have discussed? Try to recollect. If you have one accuracy in your
Hyperparameter.
hand and you do not know how to deal with it, or if you want to increase the accuracy, you must think about extracting the hidden features or creating
Feature
the
engineering.
new features out of the features that you have. That is known as feature
Featuring.
engineering techniques. Some of the feature engineering techniques that we have discussed are what? Some of the feature engineering techniques are, sometimes you may want to handle dates. Sometimes you may want to handle geolocation. Sometimes you may want to do binning. Binning is one of the most widely used technique in credit risk. Are you with me? In credit risk, in Citibank, in HSBC Bank, very frequently we do binning. Binning is like everyday, day-to-day life. And what is the other technique that we use? One hot encoding. Do you remember discussing all this?
Yes.
Did we discuss this or not? One hot encoding, which
Yes,
is
sir.
also known as what? Dummy variables creation. These are the two techniques that will use that will have an impact on the model. Okay. The feature engineering technique will have an impact on the model for sure. If you want to improve the accuracy of the model, you must use feature engineering techniques.